Hi, this is Sarah with Action Enforcer Pro, and in this video we are going to talk about a few little minor differences between the PC and Mac versions of Action Enforcer Pro. They are basically the same. The core functionality is identical, but there are 4 little things that act a little bit differently because of the difference between the Mac and PC operating systems. The first area that acts a little bit different is the action list functionality in terms of loading and copying action lists from either a backup copy, or if you want to share it or get a copy from somebody else who has the Action Enforcer Pro application. So in a PC, you're going to have a dialog box that pops up, and it's going to be pretty self-explanatory. So it's really the Mac users that has to have a slight additional step. And what do I mean? Well, let's say we want to copy this custom action list. I'm going to select this copy button. What happens here is that instead of directly being able to save this into a text file that's automatically going to be downloaded, you first have to copy this to your clipboard and then paste it into a text document. So we just simply push copy. We're going to go down and you will open up your text editor function. And once that's open, you're going to say new. And then you just simply place your cursor inside this message box area, and boom, we now have pasted in that action list. And then we simply do File, Save. So I'm going to go ahead and save it to my desktop, and then we'll show you what it looks like when you are going to load up one. So I'm going to go in here then and select a new list, push Load. You're going to navigate to where you save that file to find out what that directory is called, the exact nomenclature for it. So you place your mouse over the file in question, highlight it so this bar goes across it, right click, and then you go to Get Info. And here's the name of the file, so we want to make sure we type in action space list1.rtf, and then we're just going to copy this directory path here, go back to our application, paste that in, and if we wish, we can go ahead and go back to that little get info box and copy the name of the file so we don't have to retype it and make an error in the typing process. So we just drag our cursor across that name of the file to highlight it, and we can do Command C to copy it, or we can right click and bring up the drop down menu that allows us to copy that item. Then we're going to navigate back to our application and paste that in by doing Command V. And now we have the completed file path there, and push load. We have just loaded up the old Monday task list into custom list 3 as a good starting point. In both the PC and Mac versions, you need to make sure your action lists or reports, which we'll talk about here in a second, are saved as plain text document files. So the ending of the file should be .txt, and that means no formatting will be present, so it's easy for the application to read it and it's in the right format. Next, let's talk about reports. So there's just a little minor difference between how Windows and Mac needs to save and run those reports, and it's very similar to the difference that we just went through for loading and copying in action lists. So if we go to our reporting feature up here, you'll notice that I have a Mac version that only says copy report. If you have a PC version, you're going to see a couple more options. You're going to see the option to print, save, and copy all right down here in the lower right-hand corner. For a Mac, and we did go through this in the reporting tutorial, but we'll go ahead and go through it one more time here. For a Mac, it's just like we went through for the action list in that you first need to copy the data into a text file and then save. So in other words, we need to hit copy, and when we do that, you can't see anything happening, but it actually is copying the data to our clipboard. Then we're going to open up a text document. We'll go in here to File, New. So I went to my text editor. I hover my mouse into the text document, and it should be there already, this little blinking cursor, but in case not, you just place your cursor or your mouse inside that document and left click, and now you're doing Command V to paste. Command V to paste. And there you go. You now have your report for that period in question in a text document, and now we simply need to save it by going up to File and Save. You can even export as a PDF here. And we're just going to close out of this, and we're going to go over two more little differences between Macs and PCs. If you're setting the application background and you have a Windows PC, you are going to use a dialog box that is going to pop up when you click on this little change the background option. However, I have a Mac, and so this shows you the difference here between the dialog option that comes up if you have a Windows operating system and a Mac. You must enter the full directory path or full URL. So if you have your image hosted on another image hosting site, something like flickr.com, you would have to find the whole URL and you enter it here. Or, like this is an example of a file path up here for Macintosh HD applications, Action Enforcer Pro, and let's say we had background image.png as something we loaded up into our Action Enforcer Pro file folder. So we would simply just navigate to where that is on our computer, copy that whole directory path, and then paste it in here and then push load image. The fourth area where there's a slight difference between the Mac and PC version of Action Enforcer Pro is in the balloons and tooltips section. In Windows, tooltips appear over various interface items when you hover your mouse over them, and a system tray balloon appears when a timer is completed. Neither the tooltips or system tray balloons can be supported on a Mac, so those do not exist. That's it. Those are the four little differences between the Mac and PC version, and again, the major functionality and the power of Action Enforcer Pro remains consistent across both. Hopefully this helps, and I'll see you in our final tutorial video, which we will go over a few of the frequently asked questions. I'll see you there.